Hello and welcome to the CSGO Pro podcast. We are back with another episode, but today Sid and Livemis will not be joining us. We have a special guest. His name is Flo, and he will help analyze all the news that has gone down in the past week. So starting off with the biggest story of the day, Astralis just qualified for the minor tournament ESL 1 New York. They had to take down Dignitas, Envious, and FaZe. And they did it all in a great fashion. They swept FaZe in the finals 16-10, 16-5. So, Flo, I want to get your take on this. Do you think Astralis can be really good among the teams that were invited to ESL 1 New York?
Well, yeah, because it's Astralis.
Do you think they can come up great against Fnatic?
But yeah, because we haven't seen Fnatic a lot. But
Exactly.
We haven't seen what they've done, but I don't think they will because, I mean, they have all of Meister, but
Yeah.
a team isn't based on one player.
Exactly, but recently in the new matches, the other members of Fnatic, the new players that were traded from Godsent, especially Lekro, they were actually carrying above Dennis and Olive in recent matches. Do you think they can eventually all, before the next major, come to the same standard and work together as a team?
Yeah, because, I mean, they're pros. I mean, they're probably going to practice a lot.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
you're saying that 5 months is enough time?
Yeah.
I agree. But I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't have 3 majors this year. It's the first time since 2013 that hasn't happened. I mean, we talked about this on previous podcasts, and it's kind of disappointing. But it's good to see that there are some leagues going on, especially with E-League and ESL Pro League. And speaking of ESL Pro League, do you think Cloud9 in the North American division can maintain their dominance?
Yes. Simple.
They're 14-0 right now.
Yeah. I know.
Exactly. Do you think they could take down SK, or do you think they'll just come close and flop? Let's call it that.
I'll say it'll probably get very close. Maybe third map. Third map.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially in the playoffs. I think we're forecasting a North American Finals meetup of SK and Cloud9, the two best teams so far. Also, Echo Fox has been doing really good. It's notable, but still not as good as Cloud9, even though Echo Fox has Sean Garris and Freakazoid. Who do you think is the X factor for Cloud9? Flo?
I have no idea.
Ooh. Well, I mean, they do have so many great players, and it all started going uphill when Slemmy stepped down from the starting roster. Do you think that was the major thing, or do you think it was something else? Do you think it was more of Slemmy leaving the starting roster, or do you think it was more of automatic coming in?
I'd say it's a little bit of both, like having a new player and then having an old player leave.
Exactly. You don't want to be tied down too much, right?
Yeah.
Because that's sort of what happened to Envy, because they didn't change up the roster, and they got too comfortable, and they didn't make needed adjustments to win. Envy's been doing good recently. Yeah.
Keo, it's one game, man. Come on.
Yeah, I feel really bad for him. It's good that he's finding his place on FaZe. And speaking of FaZe, FaZe had a really good run to try to get and qualify for ESL 1 New York, but they couldn't do it against Astralis. Astralis has just been really good recently. Very, very dominant. Do you think FaZe can come up really big in the ESL Pro Leagues, considering they're at the top of it right now, I believe?
Yeah, they have a pretty even chance with a lot of pretty, old teams, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
The base of CS.
Mm-hmm.
Like those teams. Yeah.
Who do you think is the best team in the world right now? Just general question. Best team.
SK.
Ooh, very bold. But I'd have to disagree because Fur has not come back, and Navi has been doing great. In the ESL Pro League, the top 2 players for KD are Guardian and Simple. And that just shows you how good Navi is, and they have so many different players. And I think this will be Simple's home for a long time. So do you think Simple could ever, blow his chance?
Yeah, with his short temper.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a problem.
Exactly, because Simple gets very frustrated sometimes when things don't go his way, and it's not all his fault. Sometimes it's his team, and yeah, I hope that does not happen, because it's great to see a young player get out there and play, and yeah, it's just too bad that sometimes that happens to Simple. I think this will be his shot that he'll actually take. So, and in other news, Makalele is standing in for Pith. What do you think about that? Do you think NIP can fire on all cylinders? Flo?
Sorry, your mic cut out. I didn't hear anything.
Oh. Makalele is going to stand in for Pith. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was sad to see him leave. I mean, like, he's been a great player when he was on NIP before, so.
I agree. So do you think it'll bring back some old memories?
Yeah, I think they'll work together like they used to with Michael Valley.
I agree. I think that'll be a big deal, and I think they can pull off some magic, maybe the old NIP style, right?
Yeah. Was it 85 wins in a row they had?
They were doing pretty good there. Not entirely sure, but okay. In other news, Immortals, they did beat Cloud9 to win Northern Arena. What do you think about that? To take home the $50,000 championship prize.
Well, Cloud9 being how good they are, I mean, I was pretty sad.
Yeah, I was expecting them to win, especially because they beat Immortals previously twice in the ESL Pro League. It just goes to show that these tournaments, some teams go all out because they know they have nothing to lose, and they just got to win it, especially Immortals being a Brazilian team. So, I think they could have a little rivalry going if they get to SK's level. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing they're missing is probably someone who can jump shot Colette and
yeah, that's true.
a CSGO school.
Exactly. They need something that gets real cold, cold-blooded. Yep. Cold Zera. Exactly. But nothing also commented on 14-0 record that they have. Speaking of Cloud9, he did a little bit of an interview. He was talking about how Stewie2K was doing really good, and it was all the team. It wasn't just him, even though he's been doing really good too. Stewie and Automatic have been doing probably the best, especially Shroud has his games, I guess. And he says outside of SK, they have been doing the best. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, probably. I mean, 14-0 is pretty big.
Exactly. But do you think they would come even close to that in the EU?
I mean, NA versus EU.
Very big difference.
Yeah, I mean,
that's got to be true. And also another thing, this is quote for quote on his interview. They said it's interesting how the roster played out with the Valve ruling regarding coaches, and then they went on to say, how did Automatic's arrival affect the leadership roles? And he responded with, coaches are a very, very good option at the time, and they do call good shots. Do you think it's going to affect Cloud9 a lot as much as it has NIP and Navi?
Well, yeah, because a coach is having a coach for so many years, and then automatically it's just your opinion, your team's opinion. Like, exactly. You don't have that extra person to tell you, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, but the thing I'm regarding is since Stewie2K is calling most of the strategies, I think this term will catch on, in-game coach, basically, for Pronax, because that's what they're going to have to do at the next major, which is kind of disappointing because the coaches are a major part, but you just got to move on. Valve makes a lot of stupid decisions, and a lot of pros would agree with me, but hey, it's their platform, and they can do what they want with it. If they think this can be better, that's their decision, and we have to just move on and see these pros and how they will react. And I think it's going to be an interesting storyline for Navi, especially without their coach. And I think they're starting to work in more in-game strats, and that's why they're doing so good in the ESL Pro League. And another thing, he was talking about Fallen and how good of an in-game leader he is. Do you think the in-game leaders are all going to fit in as basically a new coach, or do you think some teams are going to struggle? And if some teams are going to struggle, which teams?
I can't point out which teams. I mean, maybe Fnatic, because Pronax was that,
I agree.
Coach for them. And then now he's not there. So some teams might not be able to grasp having to coach your team while playing.
Exactly. What do you think of Old Luminosity? This is a new team, actually. That SK was prior to this in the previous, 2 majors ago? the new Luminosity roster, they canceled out of the Northern Arena in Canada. So, what do you think about that? Do you think that's really going to affect the whole shakeup, or do you think it's just another team? They had some big names, but now it's over. Their whole thing is over with.
Yeah, it's like with TSM. Like you
Yeah.
had Device, like Dignitas, pretty much. It's just it went from Dignitas, TSM, then Astralis, and now they have TSM, which isn't doing the greatest.
Yeah.
Dignitas, not
Hmm.
the best.
That's true. But another thing, which was very surprising, Penta Esports, they beat VP to knock them out of the EPL a while ago, and it was a rematch during this week. So, do you think that Virtus Pro is a lot better coming that far since they had a long drought and now they're back to star standards? I think they are third or fourth in the world. I'll check the rankings right now.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's like they were those one of those original teams. I mean, you know, it's like sticking when you hang around someone too long. You know how like you guys start hating each other, like getting in a lot of fights. It's
Yeah,
like that. So like VP and CSGO, they've been hanging out a long time, and then like so they've got into that fight, like that drought. Now
exactly.
they all good.
Exactly. So there have been a recent shakeup of the top 10 teams in the world right now. SK still remaining at number 1, Virtus Pro strong at number 2, and G2 is still at number 3, Godsent 4, Navi 5, NIP 6. Liquid is falling because of Pimp's performances, or lack of performances, I should say. And then you also have Mouse, which is a very surprising factor, especially with the recent move with Nex going to sub. And Fnatic, the new Fnatic, is still at number 9. Astralis number 10. Do you think Cloud9 could join them considering they're just at 11 right outside?
Yeah, I mean they've been performing well, and I don't know, like Mouse Sports, maybe they
Yeah.
might take Mouse Sports' spot.
I agree. I think they can move up to either 8 or 9. I don't think they're going to go too far considering the level of performance the EU teams have been performing. But I would love to see them in the top 10, especially with the recent victories, being undefeated in the ESL Pro League and coming close to Immortals in the Northern Arena. So, considering that, do you think Envious, which is also at 12, and they've been doing actually pretty good, do you think they could make it in either after or before Cloud9?
I'd say they maybe make it to 10 because Fnatic switch, and then
Exactly.
Envious though,
And
like
Astralis is at number 10. Do you think they'll move up?
uh yeah, probably. I mean,
Especially with the recent win against FaZe. And FaZe has been one of the best teams in the world. And it's surprising they're not in the top 10 yet. It's because all their matches have just been in the league. But soon they'll be way farther up. They don't really have any points yet. But I consider them being a little bit higher. They're at number 13. I think they'll join in the top 10 very soon. Either taking Liquid's spot or someone else. Because Liquid has fallen off the face of the earth, basically. So, do you think Liquid could drop out of the top 20 even? Because I think they could. They've just been so bad recently.
I'd say they'd stay in the top. I'd say they'd be like 15 to 20 because, I mean, getting rid of Simple really threw them off. Like all those changes in the
Honestly,
team.
I agree with you. I don't think they're going to be out of the top 20, but Symbol was a huge factor, especially him single-handedly beating Navi. If you take off someone who can be a one-man show, then if no one else is performing, they're supposed to rely on that stud. If that stud isn't there
Yeah.
and you have a rookie pimp, basically, it's going to be much harder for them. So, I agree with you. I think they're going to fall out of the top 10 really hard, but I think other teams are going to replace them, including FaZe, Envious, and Cloud9. Those are the teams that are going to be moving up, and I think new Fnatic and Mouse Sports will fall. And yeah, I can't wait for the next tournament. Flipside beating NIP. I want to see a revenge matchup there. Do you think which team would win in a revenge matchup, NIP or Flipside?
I'd say NIP just cause
I would
like
agree. NIP's 1 out for revenge, and 2 recently they've been performing as good as FaZe has. So I think FaZe is in a little bit of a slump. They were doing pretty good. They were winning a little bit. They were trying to qualify, and Astralis just beat them out in that. Astralis had really good individual performances from the likes of like Device and Kerrigan, and basically everybody on their team was doing really, really good. But another team that basically had former members, Dignitas. Everybody knows their name. They're not one of the best teams, but they're there. They're 18 right now. They're doing okay. Occasion B is really one of the best players. Config has been playing really well recently. Do you think Rubino needs to pick up the pace, or do you think they can just sit there and rely on Occasion B?
I mean, I'd say they all, not like all of them, but 3 of them should pick up the pace, and then Cajun B, they can have some reliance on Cajun B, but they can't have all of it on Cajun B.
That's true. It's like basically what happened in Simple. If you don't have that player, or that player isn't playing as well, then your whole team crumbles. You can't just rely on one player. You have to rely on your team as a whole, because the team itself is what wins games. It's not one player. Maybe you'll have one player doing really good, but if the team isn't doing anything, then you're still going to lose, even if a player is doing crazy. And Simple proves us to that, especially with Liquid's performances recently. That's a big thing. So, and a new, I think it's a minor tournament. It's a CIS minor tournament, which has a $500,000 prize pool. It has, it's called Epicenter's EU bracket. They have the EU and the CIS people. So they have Flipside and CIS. They have Hellraisers, Gambit, a couple good teams. Hellraisers isn't that big, but Gambit's definitely a great team. They beat Astralis and Dignitas to win the division in the last major. And EU, you have crazy teams. You have Mouse Sports, you have Godsent, you have Dignitas, FaZe, and Astralis. If you had to pick 2 teams to come out of EU, which 2 teams would it be?
FaZe and Astralis.
Ooh, I agree. But if the divisions don't eventually align that way, they're still being set based on the qualifiers. If you had to choose a different team besides FaZe, who would it be? You've got Mouse, Godsent, Dignitas, and Heroic.
Mouse.
I agree. Because Godsent needs to get readjusted. Godsent lost really badly, especially to FaZe. That was kind of a bad loss. They should have beaten FaZe, especially with the talent on their team. I think they can't go into a slump like this just because they changed up their roster. Yeah. Another team, what's they called? Space Soldiers. They also qualified, and there's still one more spot up for grabs. Out of the already unnamed teams, which team do you think can claim that spot for the tournament?
Like out of all of them?
Out of any EU team that's already not listed.
Navi.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I forgot completely about Navi. Yeah. I would love to see them qualify, and they probably will. It'll be a great test to see if they can beat all these teams, which you should expect them to win. So. Yeah. And yeah, in the qualifiers today, it was great for ESL 1 New York. All these minor tournaments, they really don't build up the hype. Do you agree that they don't build up the hype to a major, but it's good to have the practice?
Yeah, it's good to have them there, but like they don't, I wouldn't say they'd hype people up to see that major.
Exactly. What do you think of Godsent beating FaZe 16-4, but then losing 3-16, 4-16?
Well, Godsent, I'm sorry, but you guys kind of...
Yeah, in the first match, Flusha was 16-6. He was doing crazy. Keo was doing horrible. Alu was doing horrible. And then on map 2 on Train, you have all these other players that were doing great. JW doing horrible, 7-15. Pronax 8-17. Like, come on. Yeah. And then just I don't even know what to say. It was really bad for them. Alu in the next map 24-7. Do you think Alu can have these performances more often? Do you think if he gets more consistent, FaZe will be a really big contender at the next major?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, if anybody gets good or starts getting consistent on those good ones, then their team will probably get stronger. You know, like their team will get stronger.
Yeah.
So.
But you know what's peculiar? Alu on the first map, he went 5-19, very bad. Second map though, however, he went 24-7, right? And then on the third map, he did really good as well. He did 20-6. So do you think Alu needs to channel this version of himself, I guess you would say? But do you think if he does that consistently, do you think he could be FaZe's stud, I guess?
Yeah.
Definitely. Do you think FaZe's diversity is a factor? Because they have, I'm pretty sure, what is it, 5 different countries?
Oh yeah, it's like you don't like people from freaking. Okay, I don't know where a lot of players are from.
I think they had, I think it was Poland, Sweden, bunch of different places. A couple
Yeah.
more countries.
It's like if your team is all from one place, then like you guys can't bond as much because you can't tell you like,
Exactly.
oh dude, like this is so cool. It's like yeah, I already know that because
Yeah,
I live with.
France, Denmark, Sweden, Norway. I think it was Poland too. That's crazy, but I mean, it's working for them. Whatever, how diverse you have to be to make it work, just do it. And if
Yeah,
it does work, that's great. That's what you need to do. You made the necessary adjustments to make a good team good, or a good team better. And they played well, and that's how they need to do it. And what do you think of Mouse Sports beating Gambit not 16-9 in the first map? And then in the second map, they did also really well, and they won 16-12. Do you think Mouse can keep it up and start pulling ahead?
yeah. I mean like they're in the top 10, so that means they're showing a little more skill than they used to in the past years. So
Yeah.
better for them.
Do you think Nico needs to find a better team?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being in the All Stars and MLG Columbus, and then your team
Yeah.
completely trashing.
Oscar's doing really good, though. He's a great replacement for Nex. He went 23-15, and then on the second map, he also went 28-15. So, do you think Oscar is starting to find his place?
Yeah, I mean, he might not be on the official team for like.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what I'm trying to say. One second.
But yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
he is doing better than Nex used to do. So I think Oscar can definitely fill that void because Nex wasn't a bad player. He just was so average. You need to be above average. You can't be an average team and win a major. And if they ever want to get to that level, they need to do really good. So I thought that was very interesting. Whoa. I just found out about this. Heroic just beat Echo Fox 16-1 on one map, and Echo Fox has Freakazoid and Sean Garris. And then on the second time, I think it was 16-4, 16-5. And what do you think of Heroic's acquisition of Glaive?
I mean, I don't really have an opinion because like I don't pay attention to heroic. I mean,
But yeah, Glaive was from Astralis, and he went 21-8. I think he also went like 26 and something. He's crazy. Do you think he needs to find a better team though? Heroic isn't really his best fit, right?
yeah, heroic. Like, I mean, I've heard of them, but it's like I don't pay attention to them because they're one of those lowest teams. But he was on Astralis, so
Yeah.
if he was there, then he could go somewhere there again.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to be like a repeat of what happened with them in Cajun B? Basically, a player who was doing average on Astralis, but then once they leave, they just start pulling ahead.
I mean, maybe because if it did, that'd suck a lot for him. But I don't
Yeah.
think so because
I think Fnatic should go for him. I think he'll do great on Fnatic, especially with all their new players. I wouldn't do it just yet because they got to give the new players a chance. You can't just make all these roster moves. But I think they could definitely do it. It would be a great idea. But yeah, Cloud9 losing to Immortals in 3 games. That was very disappointing. So those are some of the recent matches that happened. And yeah, I think NA teams are starting to get a little bit better. And they are kind of getting players from EU. Some of them are.
yeah.
But hopefully it'll be all good. And we'll have
But,
some
like,
good matches to watch. But
Yeah, it's like CS getting more popular means more players. More players means
more watchers,
more,
viewers.
yeah, more watchers. Then that equals
More
even more
podcasters.
players and more podcasters. Yeah, and then that means probably more pro players, and then you have more diversity in pro players, and more
I
that
agree.
happens, then there's got those NA teams are gonna start getting better and better
Oh.
and better and better.
This is a few days ago on September 1st. Liquid lost to Renegades 10-16, 12-16. Do you think Liquid needs to do something about Pimp?
Yes, definitely.
Exactly.
I've never been a fan of Pimp. I've always thought he's
He's just too new, right?
I think he should just screw off for a while.
Exactly. Showtime's been doing okay in place for Fur, but do you think he'll ever be as good as Fur? Do you think Fur needs to come back?
I I want Fur back, man. SK. Ugh.
I agree. Fur needs to come back. He needs to fill that gap that Showtime left. So, definitely. Some other matches. Echo Fox did beat Optic. That's good. That's good news for them. Optic did beat TSM with all their new players. I'm glad Automatic left. He needed a better team. And Cloud9's just the fit for him.
Yeah.
So, FaZe winning some Epicenter qualifiers. They made it in. EU is looking very tough. NA is looking pretty good, honestly. NA has not been a very good powerhouse until recently. Like with the rise of SK and Liquid and even Cloud9, I would say. Now NA can actually be taken seriously. So, do you think this is a problem that SK lost to Renegades 0-16?
Definitely.
0-16. I'm not even joking.
0-16. Top team in the world. Losing to Renegades. I mean, I'm not even sure if Renegades in the top 20.
No, not even close.
But top team, not even top 20.
Cold Zero went 8-15. FNX went 5-16. Taco did the best at 12-16. Fallen went 5-16. They lost 16-0.
They could have thrown. I don't know. Maybe it was one of those
They need
freaking
Fur
iBuy
back.
power.
Showtime's not doing very good.
iBuy power? Question mark?
Oh my gosh, that's a different podcast day. I agree completely though. Virtus Pro beat Dignitas. That's a good sign. And then Virtus Pro lost Dignitas 16-7, 7-16. So Virtus Pro needs to pull ahead. They're not doing so great. G2, however, 16-6 they beat Mouse Sports. Do you think this is a good sign of G2 and Scream taking their roles like seriously, I guess you would say?
Yeah, I mean, Scream. He screamed, dude. Like, one taps only, am I right?
Yeah. Do you feel bad that FaZe lost to Virtus Pro 17-19, 17-19?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like, close game, but...
FaZe was up at a point by a lot.
Yeah.
That's gotta hurt. But yeah, that's gotta suck, especially losing the same score in overtime twice. But yeah, FaZe just needs to get back. They're in a little bit of a slump there. They're starting to not compete. And I would really like to see them. This has been a great Labor Day, and I think everybody's been relaxing, watching some CS matches, predicting the future, and I can't wait for the next major because I really want to do the team pick'em, especially since I got gold last time.
Yeah, but I don't have the money to get that, so yeah.
Well, if you did have the money, the trick to picking is who's going to be consistent. I'm just going to give this little tip at the end of the podcast. So, the tip is, you gotta pick people who are consistent. I had Cold Zera getting the best KDs every single time. And as he got more consistent, I picked him every single time. And then one of the days, Astralis lost. So, there's the day that people skip to get to the quarterfinals, right?
Yeah.
Astralis was playing. So I put basically everybody on Astralis. And Astralis won like 16-4. And that's when I pulled ahead. And I was in the top 1% of the entire world when I got this. And I picked my fantasy correctly. And in the finals, I had a few players from Liquid. I think it was Alige and Simple on my team. And I had Cold Zera, Fallen, and FNX in the finals. And
Wait,
they
was
all
this
delivered.
MLG Columbus?
No, this is ESL 1 Cologne. Columbus, I didn't pick as good. But
You got bronze, right?
In Columbus, I got bronze and silver. In Cologne, I got gold and gold. So, but yeah, that's how I picked. You have to pick people who are consistent. And the team pick'em is just the same thing. Teams that are consistent. If the team cannot consistently win games, how are you supposed to rely on them to get you a trophy? You can't. It's impossible. And that's how I picked them. And I encourage everybody who listens and all the people to pick just like that. Consistency over predictions. Predictions don't matter. Like, if one person has a really good game. Exactly. You can have a really good game, but if you can't match that, then how are you supposed to become a good player? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was fun having you on here, Flo. If you enjoyed, subscribe. If you're new,
follow.
Yeah, Flo might come on again later. We'll hopefully have Sid and Livemis back soon.
They're kind of fighting right now.
I hope you enjoyed this Labor Day. We're all taking holidays.
Wait, is it even? I thought tomorrow. Okay, whatever.
Oh. But anyways, yeah. Subscribe, leave us a review. We might read some reviews about 10 out of 10 dank memes. And follow us on Twitter for news regarding the podcast. So we'll see you in the future. Peace out. Thanks, Flo.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm still recording. Bye.